What's going on, guys? Today we've got a great popular darling of a fragrance in the community. It's one of the latest releases in this wheelhouse. And again, I'm your all-in-one stop shop for figuring this Aventus conversation out. So you're going to want to strap up for this fragrance because it's a banger, but I'm going to make the distinctions and clarifications that you'll need on deciding if this is a fragrance you want to add to your collection. Strap up. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Today, from the House of Our Moth, this is Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition. One of the best bottles I've seen in the inspiration category, and it is in, supposedly people say it's an inspiration of Aventus Absolute. I don't know who said that. Disregard that at all costs. Now, I told you guys this before. What you need to know about the Aventus DNA is that people are chasing on a spectrum either Versace Eros Energy, Aventus Absolute, or Nishane Hacivat. On that spectrum, this fragrance sits closer to between Absolute and Hacivat for a few reasons. One, because it is one of the biggest emphases on oak moss, which is signature note for the Hacivat DNA. However, the pineapple rendering is also different because rather than the tart, zingy, zesty, pineapple-y lemon DNA that you get from a lot of the other fragrances, and an Absolute, and an Energy, and in the clones, this one is more of a canned pineapple, a subdued, sweeter, candied pineapple, and it's duffed off by a lot of the same materials that Absolute provides. But again, it's less smoky woods and more just woods and a heavy emphasis on oak moss and a candied pineapple type of rendition. So I always tell people this isn't chasing Absolute. It's somewhere between Absolute and Hacivat in its own space. 10 out of 10 fragrance, monster performer, high compliment factor, and I always tell people these are the two best fragrances in the Aventus lineup over all the clones. But this one sits between Eros Energy and Absolute, and this one sits between Absolute and Hacivat. Now, we've nailed the DNA, but I'm still going to spray a test strip and show you guys the pyramid. I'm going to let that dry down for a second, and man, it's a great fragrance in the air. Let's switch windows here and go to Supremacy. Pineapple, bergamot, white flowers, and apple on the top. You're mostly just getting pineapple and bergamot, but again, it's more of a canned, sweeter pineapple, similar to something like a Cade Alpherson type of pineapple. In the mid, you have orange blossom, birch, and amber, and in the base, you have musk, oak moss, and ambergris. This is entirely a musky, heavy oak moss, ambery, birchy pineapple fragrance, freshened up with white florals to still give it that zesty pineapple forwardness. And it is a great fragrance that macerates absolutely beautifully. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much on the pyramid. I want this to be a nice, concise review for you guys. This is an absolute perfect 10 out of 10 fragrance, especially when you compare it to all of the clones. Again, the clones that I'm familiar with at this point in time, designer fragrances excluded, like a lot of your Mont Blancs and stuff like that. I have come across Club de Nuit, EDT, EDP, Parfum, Limited Edition Parfum, and even the newest one that just came out, Nitro Black, Al Haramain, L'Aventure, and Afnan Supremacy, Not Only Intense, which are all good, great clones, but Collector's Edition and Pre-Show punch well above those in terms of craftsmanship alone. And in bottle presentation, to be honest. Now, unlike Pre-Show, you get 100 ml of juice for the $40 price point. And I do believe that it's not redundant to upgrade to this, nor is it a sucky thing that you have to pay around $40 for this fragrance. I don't think Pre-Show and Collector's Edition will ever be below the $40 price point for quite some time right now. But I don't think it's also redundant to have both of these fragrances because they both tap into a different space. I'm a big fan of Hacivat, and Pre-Show will not give me Hacivat. This is closer, but not quite the cigar, but it still sits in that kind of hybrid in-between space. Again, whether I think it's any season, any reason, but shines better in colder, aerated weather. It sits between upscale, casual, and formal, and high compliment factor. Bottle presentation is superb, and you get 100 ml of juice, unlike Peugeot, which gives you, I believe, 55. You guys absolutely have to get this fragrance. It's great. If you're really being particular, the question for you really just becomes, what DNA are you chasing? Eros Energy, Absolute, or Hacivat, and pick accordingly as to what fragrance you're chasing. But if you have the money, I think once you have these two fragrances, you have everything under them consolidated into a much better, higher quality formula that is perfection. 4 to 8 sprays. I think 4 to 6 conservatively will get you north of 8 hours. 6 to 8 sprays typically will get you above the 12-hour mark of performance. It's sticky. It gets on clothes and stays there. And it's an absolutely great fragrance that you should consider. What else should I say? I think it's important to understand the thing that separates this from all the other fragrances, and it's a heavy oak moss emphasis, and it's the more dull canned pineapple feel as opposed to the zesty, zingy pineapple. This and Peugeot lack the smoky, woody base, but it definitely has the birchy, cedary base. It's just Peugeot has a little bit more smoke in the base than this one, but this does kind of macerate to more of a smokier base, but it isn't Absolute-esque. It's more Hacivat-esque. Okay. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. We drop episodes every single day. I'm sure there are going to be questions, but I do think I've consolidated this in a way that you got all the information you need to make a decision. But put something in the comments. I'll answer it within 24 hours. I'm pretty good about talking back to the audience. And this was Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition, and it's an absolute banger that you should highly consider to have in your collection. Aventus DNA will never be outdated in the same way that Eros, Original, EDT, EDP, or Parfum will never be outdated. It's always going to be a signature fragrance, and so you need to have it in your collection. All these niche heads saying they're over this DNA is really quite ridiculous. That might be the case, but you're always going to go back. You're always going to go back to this fragrance, and that's just what it is. And new people are discovering fragrance every day, and this DNA is literally top 5, top 10 DNAs in all of FragCom to me, and the numbers in sales tell the same story. Again, this is the Scent Bubble. Hope this was helpful for you, and until next time, have a blessed week. I'll see you guys later.